Good afternoon, or good evening, or good morning, whenever you are viewing this video. This morning, my family and I are going to go get a Christmas tree. We may have to make a couple stops on the way. I thought, why don't I take you guys with me? In Unit 4, we have talked about displacement versus distance traveled, and I think that can be kind of a tricky concept to understand. So what better way to kind of figure it out and then to take you with me? If by the end of this video you can tell me total distance traveled and displacement of our trip, you will earn 5 extra credit points for Unit 4. A few things before we get started. Say hello to my trooper. Of course, he will be in the video today since we're all going to get the tree. You will need a pencil or pen or marker, whatever it is you want, and a piece of paper. Or if you decide to use a computer program for note-taking, you will need to be able to take notes. You will know, I will give you our odometer reading at the beginning of our trip, and any stops we make along the way. I don't know how many sorry. Well, if you're not laughing by now, you will be. Any stops we will make along the way. So you will need to take notes of where our odometer is reading, so that you can tell me how many miles we have traveled between stops and total. Pause the video, grab yourself paper or pencil, or open up a computer program to take notes, and then be ready. Once you're ready, push play again. We are at point A, which is my house. The odometer is at, not sure if you can see it. It says 145, 132. So write that down for our starting point, point A. Okay, we are at our first stop, so we're getting some lunch. The odometer is at 145, 153. So write that down for point B. Okay, we are at point C. So we have stopped to pick up a couple extra strands of Christmas lights, and the odometer is at 145, 154. Mark that down in your notes. Okay, so we made it to our destination. We cut our tree down and we're getting ready to go back home, and the odometer is saying 145, 156. So mark that down. Alright, we've made it back home. So we've made an entire route, and we'll take a look at the odometer and see what it says. 145, 178. Go ahead and write that down, and we'll talk more.
All right, so we want to figure out what was our distance traveled. So that's one of the ways that you're going to earn these 5 points of extra credit. Our initial odometer reading was 145, 132, so 145,132 miles. We made some stops, so we can calculate distance traveled between all of those stops. So let's look at a few. Our odometer reading at point B, where we had lunch, was 145,153. To calculate distance between A and B, we would subtract those two numbers. So we have 145,132 minus 145,153. And that will give you distance traveled between points A and B. The next one I want to look at with you would be point C. Now remember when we stopped, point C was to get lights, and our odometer reading was 145,154. So distance between A and Z, we would need to subtract our odometer reading at A and our odometer reading at C, which is 145, 132 minus 145,154. And that will give you our distance between A and C. Let's take a look at our distance between B and C. All right, so between lunch and lights, because those stops were very close to each other. Our odometer reading at lunch was 145, 153. And when we stopped at Meijer to grab some lights, our odometer read 145, 154. So that would be a distance of 1 mile. And remember, you need to always put your units in here so we know. So you will also do that, or we can do that for the distance between every stop we made. So we could calculate distance between our lunch and our lights, our lunch and our when we stop to get our tree. I mean, we can calculate distance between every stop we made. Let's look at total distance traveled, because that's one of the things that I want you to send me. And for this, we will take our final odometer reading, so our point E, and subtract our initial odometer reading, our point A. So when we started and where we ended. Point E was bigger, so I put that one first. It's a little easier. And our final odometer reading was 145,178. We will subtract that from our initial odometer reading, so our point A, and that one was 145,132. And that will give you our total distance traveled, remember, in miles. That will give you our total distance traveled in miles. Now, we don't need to calculate all those stops on the way, because that's all already calculated in there. Send this number to me as total distance traveled. Now, I can't do that calculation with you because that's how you're going to earn some extra credit points, is by sending it to me as total distance traveled. Remember to include the number of miles. Now let's look at displacement, because displacement is a little bit harder to picture. For this number, we will look at where we started, so we're point A, and how far that is from where we ended, point E. Now on this page I have no numbers included. We can calculate displacement from point A to point B. We know that. We just calculated that. That would be the same as distance, because our ending point is not the same as our starting point. But we want to know our total displacement for our entire trip. Now we started at home, so that was point A. We went to lunch, that was point B. We stopped to get some lights, that was point C. We stopped to get our tree, that was point D. And then our final stop was back at home. So we started at home, we ended at home. So what was our displacement? Remember, our displacement is the difference, how far point A is from point E, our starting point and our ending point. Send that to me, and it came out. Total displacement was how far?